Hello everyone and welcome back to the Fandoms podcast, your monthly home for discussion on games, TV, film and everything in between. As usual, we're your host Joe and the man who thinks a trucking sim is a racing game, Tom. That'll be me. How we doing, Joe?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. So, tonight, Joe talks about a game shooting bugs and a franchise about space wizards, and I talk about a game and three blithering idiots. And I think you know why I put that in.
I do. I know exactly where you're going with that.
It's a bit different, but it's a little tribute, and you'll figure it out. In translation, we're doing gaming releases as usual. Talk about Star Wars Outlaws, first impressions, Warhammer first impressions, and obviously some Star Wars news as well. Peter Cushing court case, passing of James Earl Jones. I can speak, yes. And of course, the final ever Grand Tour. Yes, very, very, very sad. But anyway, what have you been up to, Joe? What have you been doing?
I want to start by saying, happy birthday, mate.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See,
it's our birthday month.
It is. That's why. See, that's why. It's called what it's called, because if you've clicked on and thought birthday cast, what do you mean? If you've not watched last month's, you would know. Basically, this podcast is perfectly balanced, as all things should be, right in the middle, because the podcast goes on the 25th. By that time, I've had my birthday on the 24th, and then after the podcast has gone out, it's your birthday. And if you think about it, all the gaming releases this month, it's their birthday month, including Warhammer. How great is that?
Right, enough of that. This month I have, I watched the Grand Tour. Very sad. I've played a bit of SnowRunner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Played a little bit of Empire at War, and then Smash Me Toes Out. I've been playing it. It's so good. We'll talk more about it later. But that's me. That's all I've done since it's come out. That's all I've done. As
for me, I've been watching some racing as usual. There was the British GT at Donington Park. It's second outing at Donington. There's now one round to go now, and it's at Brands Hatch, his final round, which is relatively near you, actually.
Yes, it is.
Geographically, is your nearest track in the British GT. And I've also today finished. Well, I watched the final hour of Fuji because Japan time zones aren't very good for us. Being in the UK, the race started at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I couldn't watch the entire thing. Usually I watch a chunk of it, but no. So yeah, I watched that this morning at the time of recording. I've also been playing some games, played the Black Ops 6 beta. So that's fun with the new Omni movement and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I'm more waiting for zombies and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a good playing that. Star Wars Outlaws, been playing that. It's a bunch of fun. I'll be talking about that very shortly as well. And as well as Star Trucker, I'll talk about that as well in a little bit as well when I talk about the gaming releases, because that released this month and it's very much fun. But yeah, that's basically my sort of month. I haven't really watched too much more apart from again Grand Tour as well. Again, we'll be talking about later. But yeah, right. Shall we talk about the game releases that have released this month? Yeah, so if this is your first time listening, I won't cover everything because there's too much to cover. I'm just going to do some little highlights. Some stuff are already out, some stuff are yet to be out. And the first one was on the 3rd of September with Spectre Divide, which is a first-person shooter for PC. It's a competitive 3 versus 3 tactical shooter driven by duality, and you use duality to control 2 bodies in real time, letting you defend 2 sites at once, cover your own cross, or even trade yourself, which is an interesting dynamic. So it's sort of like CSGO or Valorant, but you get 2 bodies. That's an interesting dynamic. It's Shroud's game. Do you know who Shroud is, Joe?
No, I don't think so.
No. So okay, so he's now a full-time streamer, but he used to be one of the best FPS Counter-Strike esports players. So he's really good. He's one of the best, and so he's contributed on making that game, which is good to see, because he knows his stuff when it comes to FPS games. Now, yeah. Also on the 3rd of September, we had Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, which I tested. I can't talk about it because I'm still under NDA. No matter how long time has passed, I will still be under NDA. But that released on all platforms, PC, Switch, PC, and Xbox. And if you're wondering, it does have online, it does have Korea, all that kind of stuff. What I've seen of it and know about it now, post-playtest, it's weird because there are 7 positions in Quidditch. There is the Seeker, there's the Keeper, there's the 2 Beaters, and then there's the 3 Chasers. It's a 3 versus 3 because you swap roles. Every person in Quidditch Champions manages 2 roles at the same time. I can't imagine managing that properly, because you would want to concentrate on one thing, and the community's like, we want even a 6 versus 6 would be fine, even just remove 1 chaser, so it's 2 chasers, 2 beaters, 1 keeper, 1 seeker would be fine. But
or even have, sorry, just a thought came to mind, like classic Battlefront 2, where you elected to become the hero for that mission, you could elect to become the seeker. Now, when that comes to that point.
Now, obviously, when it comes to J.K. Rowling, she obviously wrote everything in the Quidditch in the books, but she doesn't really know how to make a game, if you get what I mean, like a sports game. So that's why in this, there's actually a good change in this. So when you catch the snitch, it doesn't end the game. It gives you a bunch of points, and I think the points are 40, 50. But it appears, it appears, and 1 quaffle is 30 points, I think, something like that. And it's the first team to 100 points, or whoever has the most points by the time the game ends, because it's on a timer. And the snitch appears a couple of times around, so you could get 2 catches if you wanted to. I feel when you listen to that, you're thinking, that doesn't sound authentic enough, but I think if you played it, it might be different. I have a feeling.
Don't know.
But what I've seen online is people said it's relatively balanced, is that, because it's not too OP. Because obviously, if someone's a really good seeker in this game and just catches it straight off the bat, game over. No fun. But it is meant to be relatively difficult to do. Anyway, yeah, that's Quidditch Champions. Sort of mixed reviews right now because of this 3v3 thing, but yeah, they're planning to influence more stuff and expand it a bit as well.
Okay.
Also on the 3rd of September, Star Trucker. Yes. So, this is for PC and Xbox. It is a space and trucker sim, and it is very, very, very good. I'm absolutely loving it. It's made by 2 devs, by the way, and it looks incredible. It plays incredible. It's optimized.
Wait. As in 2 people?
Yes. 2 people made that game. Did you?
What?
Yeah, did you?
I didn't know this. I've seen a few things. I've watched you playing some of it.
I was going to say, how much have you watched of it? Because, yeah, that's been made by 2 guys.
Yeah, I've seen probably a few hours of gameplay.
Yeah,
it looks great. I'm tempted to I haven't picked it up yet, but I'm tempted to pick it up soon. Geez, sorry, I can't get over the fact it's 2 developers,
Yeah.
2 people working on it. Like, that's crazy.
I think my biggest sort of feedback is we need thrusters to go up and down and side to side, because we can't strafe and we can't go up and down, as in x-axis. Is that right?
Yeah.
X-axis? Yeah.
I know what you mean. I have seen that as well. You're very much reliant on
so if you
angle, move forwards, angle, move back.
Yeah, because you have to sort of angle up or move left, move right, and when you're lining up to hitch or to one of the docking stations for a shop or one of those, Another thing is obviously the maintenance side. You can customize your experience if you want completely. You can turn the finances down, or there's different presets actually that you can choose. So you can play how you want, which is great. But people have been saying the maintenance has been a bit harsh at the moment. The devs have come back and said, we're working on some changes. Well, they're working on HOTAS support as well, because that's not implemented yet. But you'll be soon be doing it on a flight stick. But they've got some stuff planned. That's great. It's a lovely little game. And they're I think they're planning to expand it to more platforms at some point. I know they're open to it. But yeah, that's Star Trucker. And then on the 9th of September, I'm not sure if you've heard of this game, Joe. On the 9th of September, there's this game called Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a small indie game.
Nah. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm not sure if I'm going to check that out. It doesn't really sound like my thing.
No. It's an action-adventure game for PC, Xbox, PlayStation. And if you don't know anything about it, well, clearly you're new to the podcast, or the last few episodes anyway. But we will be talking about it later. Don't you worry.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll be interested to hear what we've got to talk about on that then.
Well, it's funny because you're talking about it.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right.
Game of the year.
Anyway, 12th of September. Test Drive Unlimited stole the crown. Now, you'll be surprised to hear I haven't bought this.
What?
This is for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Now, this is next in the Test Drive series. It's a sim-cated open-world racing game set in Hong Kong, and it has certain RPG elements in a racing game, so it's got a bit of real estate and a casino, which is actually coming in year 1, as well as the Ibiza map. And Test Drive, I think Unlimited 2 was in Ibiza, so there's a new map coming.
Sorry, hang on. Set in Hong Kong, and they're bringing in an Ibiza map. This is very different.
Yeah, I think it's because of I haven't played the Test Drive series. This is why I wanted to get into this one. But as I say, I think Test Drive Unlimited 2 was set in Ibiza. So that's why they've sort of done the map again. But this is coming in year 1. This isn't just, they've been cooking. Basically, the reason why I haven't got it is because I'm very skeptical. First of all, there was a demo a few months ago and it didn't run very well on my machine, and so that's why I've been a bit unsure ever since. And this is one of these games that has a gold edition where you get to play a week early, and it is an only online game. What possibly could go wrong with an only online game, Joe? Would it be the servers by any chance? Because yes, there were abundance of server issues if you bought Gold Edition. You paid early and you couldn't play early.
Oh dear.
I was going to go for Gold because I was going to get it on CD keys, which is basically equivalent to the standard edition if you bought it on Steam. And I thought, oh, that's a bargain. But I'm now so glad, because I wasn't sure if I was going to run it. So I was thinking I was going to buy it off Steam anyway, because then if I can't run it, I can refund it. But then I decided not to, and I even removed it from my wish list because I was like, I'm really not sure about this. This has been a game I've been looking forward to for so long, since it's been delayed and delayed and delayed. But even past those server issues, it doesn't look ready to me.
Right.
Yeah, I wish for once we could have a decent racing game that would come out and be polished and nice and optimized. But yeah, when I played the Crew Motorfest, when that came out last year, I played honeymoon phase, and looking at it I was like, yeah, that's great. But then I haven't really played much of it, and I'm worried I'll be the same with this. Like, I'll buy it, I'll be excited initially, play it for a few hours, and then be like, oh,
I'm done now.
Yeah, I'm done. I am planning to go back to the Crew Motorfest, to be fair, but because the year 2 stuff that they've announced, pretty good. Talking of which, they've announced, we had the whole discussion about the Crew 1 being shut down, offline mode, all that kind of stuff. No offline mode, sorry.
Yeah.
They did a Crew 2 showcase, Motorfest showcase. They've announced offline mode for the Crew 2 and Motorfest.
Oh, yeah, no, I have seen this.
Because they've also put the Crew 2 on sale for 80p right now. 80p.
Blimey.
And
okay.
the Steam charts have rocketed. And everyone's playing it because obviously everyone's so happy. Oh yeah, it's going to get an offline mode. And it's just proof that corporations stop doing online only. It doesn't work. And when someone announces an offline mode, everyone loves it and wants to play the game because that means their game isn't going to disappear one day because they've decided to shut the servers down. Yeah. So the offline mode isn't there yet, but they've promised that they will implement it in the future, which is really great to see.
Okay.
Right, 17th of September. Train Sim World 5 for Xbox, PC, and PlayStation. It is latest. It is coincidentally a sequel to Train Sim World 4, which we both have. Now, we thought... Yes, I know.
Sorry, sarcasm.
We thought... to be fair, I was being sarcastic there anyway. And anyway, so we thought maybe Dovetail aren't going to be greedy and continue Train Sim World 4. But yeah, that was just wishful thinking, I think. Dovetail love their money, so they're doing Train Sim World 5. But the great thing this time is you can upgrade your game for free to the latest version with the free starter pack. So you've got till the October 17th to claim this, and you get the new training center, the livery designer, the free roam formation designer, the new scenario planner. So you sort of do get a sort of upgrade, a bit similar to Train Simulator Classic, a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know for what extent that will be, but at least we get a sort of upgrade instead of, oh, we have to buy the new game every single year. And I think they've realized that is a big downside to the way that they do one game a year.
Yeah, I think people have been saying about that since Train Sim World came out, that every year it was a whole new game you had to buy, whereas, God, I can't think of how far back Train Sim Classic goes, but, you know, that's always been the new version comes out, you get the tech upgrade for free, and it's just if you want the routes, you have to buy it. I think it's good that they're finally doing it, even if it's only for a limited time. I think it's good that they're doing it with this.
Because also, here's the thing, any tracks or routes that you had from a previous Train Sim World, it would automatically carry over anyway. This was before this change, because I remember I bought Train Sim World 4 at launch, and I remember seeing, if you loaded up the game, you went into the store, it would show you Train Sim World 3 stuff. So you could still buy those DLCs within that store in there. So this just makes sense, effectively.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Whether it will do a full upgrade to rename it, saying you've now got Train Sim World 5, we don't know. We'll have to see when that comes out, and we can upgrade. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at the Steam page. I wonder how that's going to work, because it doesn't say anything about upgrading at the moment.
No, it will be. It will be from. They've said it will be from launch, so we'll have to wait for launch day, and then we can do it from then till the 17th, which makes sense because that will be an exact month, 17th of September to the 17th of October. Yeah. Right.
Yes, there'll probably be an upgrade button on there or something,
or it will be a DLC or something that we'll just grab. Yeah. Then. Moving on to the 18th, we've got GT Manager. This is PC Early Access. This is the sort of racing management sim that I talked about quite a while ago. And you said, because at that time it was called GT Manager 24, and you said, oh, 2024 is a bit long. Why isn't it out yet? But they've sort of renamed it to GT Manager kind of silently. They haven't mentioned anything. They've just now called it GT Manager. Maybe it was just a placeholder. We don't know. So it's
maybe they've had the same thought I did.
Yeah. Similar to F1 Manager or Motorsport Manager, and it's got real cars and drivers but fictional tracks. So if you play the F1 Manager or Motorsport Manager from Sega, then it's the similar thing. And I've been playing it. But how, Joe? Well, the devs sent me a code. I've got it. I've got an embargo. I've got an early access code, and I get to make content on it. And my embargo is on the Tuesday, a day before the release. So I get to release a video before anybody else gets to play it.
Look at Mr. Fancy Pants over here with his codes from the developers. Ooh. Sorry,
it wasn't direct. To be fair, it's a game site where content creators can go and request keys, and I requested one, and I got given one. So, In fact, they gave me an early code when they did the demo, so I had access to the demo before it was in Steam Next Fest as well. So
right,
yeah. Because what you can do as a dev on one of these sites is you can look at obviously content creators and think what content is similar to my game. Okay, let's send a code to this person because they seem to fit the bill. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
so that's
cool.
That's exciting. It's my first embargo. I was so excited when I got the email. I was like, oh my god.
No, that is really cool.
It's so cool. Yeah, yeah. It's obviously more for my YouTube channel than my Twitch channel because it's 10 times more successful. But you know, anyway, I'm probably still going to stream it though when it releases on release day.
That's fair.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to torture Joe because I'm going to let him wait until he gets to talk about Warhammer. I've done this on purpose, by the way, when I've ordered everything. Actually, no.
Oh, I'm sure you have.
No, the real reason is because we've never started a podcast with Star Wars Outlaws before. We've always ended it, or it's been in the middle. We've never started with it, so we're starting with it.
Okay, all right.
Nothing to do with you. No.
Sure. I'll believe you.
All right, Star Wars Outlaws first impressions. So first of all, it feel what? What do you mean?
I said
Oh, I thought you said no. I was like, okay, we'll just move on then. It feels different from other Star Wars games I've played. It feels more open world. You know, we had this discussion of them claiming this is the first open world Star Wars game. I get what they're saying now because, like, it feels more like a GTA or a Red Dead Redemption or something like that where you're not forced to go on one linear path and you can do whatever the hell you want. In the Jedi games, you've kind of got this more linearity. There is some other stuff that you can do, but it's not really stuff that you go and want to do. You just want to go and do the story. As we've discussed, it's more of a Metroidvania style leveling sort of thing. But yeah, you know, I just want to go out and explore. There's intel-based stuff that we get to do and all that kind of stuff. And before I go any further, I'm not really going to... There's not going to be any spoilers per se. I'm going to be talking about some stuff and light elements because I haven't actually finished the story yet. I'm 20 hours in. I don't even know how far I'm in because I've been enjoying the open worlds and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, it's great. Yeah, so there isn't going to be some story-based spoilers before I go any further. And yeah, I'm just enjoying it. I'm invested in the story, and you know, do you know what? The game isn't perfect, and everyone's saying it's the worst thing ever, and you but do you know what? I think if you're a Star Wars fan, you're going to really enjoy it because, you know, it is a good story, and you can do so much more. Oh, and by the way, there are banthas in the game. And you can pet them.
Like a bantha.
That's an achievement, by the way.
Called it.
It's called like a bantha. Is that the achievement is actually if you... I think it's you land your speeder perfectly. You do a landing on your speeder perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the achievement's called. Yeah. But you can pet the banthas. You can pet Nyx, the most adorable little Merkel. That's what he is, by the way. He's a Merkel.
Right.
For those people that don't know. Yeah. I'm just really enjoying it. There are some downsides, which I'll get to in a second, but you know, the overall stand is I'm enjoying it, and I'm the sort of person that tends to just go on the single player linear story path, but this time I want to do everything. I want to explore, I want to go into do the intel side missions and some contracts, because you get given contracts from these brokers to do stuff for all these syndicates with all the reputation levels and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are some open world encounters that could be better. Jay has noticed this when he's been watching me stream. Sometimes there are some world events that happen. So on Tashara, there's an event that happens where people get attacked, some civilians on some farms, because Tashara is very windy, so there's lots of wind farms. And some of these civilians are requesting support because they're being attacked by pirates. So you can choose to go to that location and help them out, or you can choose to ignore it. It's one of those world events that just happens randomly. And sometimes when they're fighting, both the enemies and the civilians, they're just standing still shooting at each other, not really taking cover and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. like they're fun, but there are those things that you sort of kind of mention.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that could be better, but it's probably one of the minor sort of nitpicks, sort of things that people might notice or whatever. But fine. Now, when I mentioned Sabacc before, I said last month, didn't I? I said I don't know how to play, and you said I'm sure the game will teach you, and it has, and I'm really enjoying it. It's actually a fun game. I know Jay on stream says I'm addicted or whatever, but it's just one of those fun little games that you get to do within a game. And
just on that point, we are planning an intervention. Tom, it's a problem, and we're worried about you, mate. We think you need help, and I think it's time that we drew you away from the spot. This gambling addiction has really got out of hand. He's bet his whole ship, like. He's going to have nothing left at this rate. It's a real problem. Tom, we're really worried about you. Please listen to us.
It's digital currency. It's fine. It's in a video game.
However you justify your addiction,
that's what
your gambling addiction.
That's what Jay keeps saying. Stop it.
When you end up betting more on it.
Right. So let me just also explain. So. What you have in Star Wars Outlaws is actually what's called Kessel Sabacc, which is actually apparently it's a more simplified version, which I sort of understand why they've done that then. But yeah, it's effectively it's a game of subtraction. You have two cards, I think there's two families. I think one's called Sand, that basically you've got a yellow card and you've got a red card.
Okay.
And whoever has the lowest number kind of wins the round, and you've got 3 goes to go around. So it's a sort of everyone has 3 turns and it's 3 rounds, and there are 3 turns per round.
Okay,
if that makes sense. I might have confused everybody by saying that. Yeah, and basically you have a Sabacc if you have basically 0. If you had a 1 and a 1, for example, that's a Sabacc. You can't get any lower than that. That's the best hand you can get. There's also a card called the Imposter, where you have to roll the dice and select one of the numbers on the dice to be that number on your card, so it's a bit of a gamble.
Okay.
And then you've got what's called a Cylops. So the Cylops card takes the equivalent number of your other card. It takes that value. So that's what's called a Cylops Sabacc. So basically, that's an even better hand. And if you have one of those, you've basically won that round. Anyway, apart from Sabacc, I do like the reputation system. And it seems that there's been a trend online that everyone's been doing, and I've been doing the same. Everybody has been screwing over the Pike syndicates and making the reputation level terrible, while everybody else is putting Crimson Dawn up to excellent.
Okay.
I've also been doing that because we do see Quira. Yeah, that's how you pronounce her name. Yeah, Quira. Yeah, you know who I'm on about.
Quira?
Yeah. Anyway, yes.
Quira?
The thing is, when you have an excellent reputation, they actually send you gifts. So they send you sort of cosmetic stuff, which is cool. So things like, they might send you things like parts for your blaster, or a piece of clothing, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So maybe a jacket or one of the holsters for your weapon. And the thing is, it's not just cosmetic. Some of these things actually have some perks to them.
Okay. Yeah.
So this isn't just with these that you grab. These are any of them that you find in the world or you buy from vendors. So some of them might have a perk of if you have one particular one, you might have another slot to put another Bacta vial for healing in, or another grenade slot so you can carry more grenades, for example. Stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes if you have a set of something, it has an overall perk as well if you wear everything. And I got the Crimson Dawn outfit, and it does look pretty damn good, I must admit. Yeah. Now, what happens when you are on terrible with a syndicate? Well, they don't like you, and they send kill hit squads after you in the open world. So ever since I've been launching up Star Wars Outlaws and got them to terrible, which was almost instantly, I've been getting hit squads and I've been getting rid of them. It's getting annoying, but I don't like the pikes. So be it. Don't tell me you. I bet you would be the same if you had it. Let's be honest.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know.
Lots of people don't.
Pikes are iconic.
But no one, particularly after what happened in Book of Boba Fett, nobody likes them. They are the biggest twats in Star Wars.
You leave the fish people alone.
Anyway, I might just put their reputation up to excellent one time just to get the achievement, because there's an achievement for each one to go to the maximum level.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I do like the reputation level. You do one thing, it favors one, it goes down to the other. Some of the side missions or some of the things that you do in the open world, you'll get a choice. And the choice is, for example, you might have a side mission of, I don't know, retrieving some cargo in space or delivering it in space, which is one of the missions. And at the end of it, it will give you an option. You can either get paid 500. It's usually 500, and gain reputation with the clan it's meant to be in, or you can expose its location and get 1,000.
Oh.
So you can either get paid more, but your reputation goes down with that, or your reputation goes up, but you get paid a little bit less. So it's sort of do you want to screw them over? Do you not want to? And you've got to remember, you're an outlaw, you're a rookie outlaw, and it's not Star Wars be your friend. It's Star Wars Outlaws. You're meant to be an outlaw. So yeah, as someone that's very much a person pleaser, this has been a very difficult decisions each time. I'm like, I want to please everybody, but I don't like the pikes, so they can go and screw themselves. Yeah, you know, it's these little decisions, and I love it. The gunfights, though, they're fun. I like the variety of attachments for different playstyles and different enemies as well. For example, you can't really kill the droid enemies with normal blaster. You've got to switch to your ion blaster attachment to take those down. Yeah, it's really cool. And there are things in the open world that you need to activate. So using your ion again, there's a little electric thing that you need to shoot, which will activate some power, which will power something that it might power a door to open or whatever. And there's a blast one which will explode on impact, and this breaks a particular element as well. So it's not just for fighting; it's for navigating the open world as well. And one of the thing is, it really does feel like you're a rookie outlaw. You know, the way that Kay's dialogue is, sometimes it's this very unsure sort of, yep, I know how to do this, but in a very unsure tone, if you get what I mean. Like, someone's talking to them that's been in the game for so long, and then Kay's response is like, I know how to do that, but she's kind of stumbling and sort of not sure what to say because she doesn't have the experience that everybody else does. Yeah. And I like that, and it's also present. I know this has been a big criticism, but it's how she takes people down. I know people don't really like her takedowns because it's like, oh, that wouldn't really happen. You can't really hit a stormtrooper through the helmet and they'll be knocked out. Maybe not, but it's a game, and I think, you know, that's fine. But also, it sort of tells something about her, that she's inexperienced. She doesn't really know how to take people down like Agent 47, for example. You know, she's not at that level of taking somebody down that, say, Han Solo would be able to. He knows how to properly take somebody down efficiently and quickly, for example, wouldn't he? In comparison to Kay, who does not. And also, you've relatively got a low survivability in a gunfight. That's why it is possible to win gunfights, but also it's more preferable to do stealth and all that kind of thing. Yeah. So, and I also like how layered everything is. So some missions in the open world, it's not just go to this marker and here it is. Sometimes you've got a search area most of the time where you've got to actually search for somebody, like a contact, or you've got to search for an item somewhere. And I like how layered that is. Go here, search this, find this keycard. Okay, go back here. I can unlock that. Oh, okay, you found a vault. You now need 3 keycards. Oh, you need to go and find those. Come back. And I just love that sophistication that they've done.
Yeah.
Now, I've been very positive, but as you know, if you've watched my streams, I've not had a good old time at the start when it came to PC performance. It's now relatively okay, actually, but the PC performance optimization was very lacking, but it's manageable at this moment in time. You know, I was dipping to maybe 30, 40 FPS in some places, particularly the busy areas. The sort of prologue was fine. It was really smooth. And then I got to the big open world, opening everything up, bang, huge frame drops. I obviously played around with settings. I thought, is it my OBS? Because obviously the streaming takes a bit more of a toll on your PC than normal. You know, that's a given. And also outside of streaming, it was sort of fine, and I was a bit confused. So I was very back and forth of whether, you know, if I could run this, if I can't run this. So it was kind of, it wasn't a great experience. But now that I've started to get frames again, it started to be an enjoyable experience, which is what I like. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as of now, I've now visited every single planet now. So obviously we've been on Cantonica, which is where you start with Canto Bight, which obviously featured in Last Jedi. You've got a Kiva, which I've just gone on, actually, the jungle planet, and each planet feels so different from each other.
Okay.
You've got Kijimi, which is all the snow cold planet, and yeah, that's interesting as well. Kijimi is more of the city. There's no big open world where you can go and explore in your speeder. It's more everything's on foot. There is one segment in the story where you have to use your speeder, but that's one story mission. But all the rest are all speeder exploration, really. I went to Tatooine because of one mission. I thought I could tackle one mission at a time because that's how organized I wanted to be. But you can't do that because there are certain missions that need you to go onto another planet and then go back, and it's very much back and forward. But I stayed on Tashara for a very long time and completed everything I could. Then I moved on to Kijimi, but I had to temporarily go to Tatooine and then come back again. Now, when I went on Tatooine, obviously the most known planet out of all these, my god, it so feels like Tatooine.
Oh, yeah?
It so feels like it. It's great. Yeah. I think it's a good game. I don't think it's a great game. I think it's a good game, you know, and it's very enjoyable. And I think a Star Wars fan would definitely enjoy this experience because, as a lot of people keep saying, this is almost like a sequel to Solo: A Star Wars Story. And it does feel like that because we've obviously got the inclination of Kira and Crimson Dawn and all that kind of stuff. And it does feel like that. I've yet to meet obviously, because I haven't been on Tatooine yet too much. I've yet to meet Jabba and all that, but I've started to, now I'm on a Kiva, I've started to incorporate with some of the Hut cartel down there as well, and Kiva's very, very Imperial invested as well. There's a lot of Imperial presence on there. But yeah, I know you've not played it, but what I don't know what you've seen since launch.
I've not seen a lot.
But what are your new thoughts this month? I know you're very yo-yoing back and forth with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know I'm very back and forth on this. It does sound very interesting. Especially what you're saying about Tatooine there. I think that would be a big draw for me to be able to visit Tatooine and kind of explore it on foot. And yeah, obviously visiting Jabba's palace. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
Something I would look forward to doing eventually. I don't know. There's bits of it that sound interesting. There's still a little bit of me that's like, do I want to bother? So yeah, I don't know. I think I just need to watch more at this point and kind of see if it's something I want to pick up.
Yeah.
I'm still umming and ahhing about it, and I don't know why.
I think you would want to not watch it, play it, because obviously being a big Star Wars fan, I think it's that's obviously a big pull.
Yeah, definitely.
And even if you grab it on sale, no one's going to judge you for getting it on sale if you're not sure about it, because that's the way that you feel about the game. But, you know...
I did think about maybe waiting for a sale and picking it up then, so...
Because obviously you said you definitely wanted to get it because of the second story DLC having Hondo in it, and... Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, we've got the more Lando Calrissian focused one first, which I'm going to mention this, but you're all going to go off at me again because I think it's going to be Sabak focused, because obviously it's got Lando Calrissian.
Here we go.
Yeah. All right, that's enough of that. Do you want to talk about Warhammer? I know you've been holding yourself in.
Well, I suppose if it's that time.
Do you want to talk about it? Before you talk about it, right? I want to say something.
Okay.
A couple of months ago, you made, or it might have been last month, I think it was a couple of months ago, you made an outrageous promise. Outrageous promise that became a YouTube short. You know what I'm talking about. You said, oh yeah, doesn't matter. You're playing Space Marine 2. I'm gonna buy it for your birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, he did exactly what he promised. He did buy me Space Marine 2, and as of today of recording, I finished the campaign. I was shocked when he said that on podcast. I was like, I was like, what? You're gonna buy me? What? You might not have seen it on my face, but I was just shocked that you would come out with something like that. And yeah, I played it. I finished it. I'm ready for co-op, Joe. I'm ready for co-op. Yeah, and I didn't think he would do it. I didn't think he would actually buy me it, but he has.
Oh, man of my word, Tom.
Anyway, you can blow about Space Marine 2.
Right.
I'll go to sleep. Sorry. No, I'll still be here.
I have to start by saying the game is perfect. Just absolutely perfect.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
I don't want to give spoilers, because even by the time this goes out, it's only going to have been out for like a few weeks.
I was going to ask, are you going to do a spoiler warning or not?
I'm going to try and avoid spoilers, because I don't want to give it away. I want to give people a chance to really enjoy this, because for me, the way I'm looking at this is it's been about, I think it's 11 years since the first game came out. And I mean, anyone who is interested in Warhammer has been begging and you know, crying out for this game to be made. And we finally got it, and I just want people to go through and enjoy it. I don't want to risk ruining it for people. And I'm lucky that people respected that whilst I was streaming it as well, because I know people have finished it much quicker than I had. That said, oh, the story. Tom, the story is... there were 2 moments streaming that game that I screamed at my screen. I'm going to download the VODs from Twitch so I can upload them on YouTube so we can immortalize this forever, because I've never enjoyed a game so much as playing Space Marine 2. There were 2. Again, I don't want to talk about what the moments were, because I want people to experience it for themselves. But I'm sure you know the 2 moments I screamed at.
Yes, I do, because one of them I was actually watching you at the time.
Yeah.
I was sort of doing stuff in the background. I had you on in the background, so because I think at that point I'd had the game and I hadn't got that far, and I was like, well, I'm still gonna watch you, but I'm gonna sort of not really pay attention because I still want to experience the story. So I heard you scream about something, and then I was like, okay, cool. He's excited about something, right? Okay. I'm not gonna look, because it's clearly a big moment. I'll just ignore that happens.
Oh, Tom, I've never lost my mind at a game like this. I genuinely, in all my years of gaming, I've never had a moment like that. And I don't know if it's just because of my love for the Warhammer universe.
Yeah.
If it's my love for Space Marine as a series, I don't know. But it was just, you know, it could have been brilliant story writing as well. I couldn't tell you what it was, but it was just probably a combination of all 3 in those moments that just made me go, oh my God, all I can do is let out a cry of joy, because it was just, as I said at the start, perfect. Absolutely perfect. There was so much fan service. It's great. We're going to go into some things about Space Marine upcoming, and we'll talk a little bit about my summary. Before I go into that, I want to talk about performance, because I didn't make a note about this, but it's a good note to mention. Performance for me and the people I've spoken to has been, by and large, pretty damn good. I must admit, in about 15 hours I've played so far, 15 and a half almost, I've only had 2 moments where it's froze up for about a minute or so. That's the only performance downside I've had. Otherwise, it has ran perfectly smoothly on high settings. I mean, I'm not exactly on an up-to-date system, and yeah, I've left it on high since starting, and it is run beautifully. The game looks fantastic. Not struggled at all.
I'm going to jump in here now because you were on high settings and you didn't change your settings. Now, when I fired up the game, it defaulted me on ultra settings.
Oh,
ultra,
okay.
the top. It won't look any better than this. And I was getting consistently 60 to 70 frames for me. It was really, really smooth.
This is what I'm saying. Everyone I've spoken to says it is really well optimized.
I have had a couple of moments where, not necessarily it's dipped, I've had some graphical glitches where it's sort of flickered a bit and done a bit of that. And, you know, a restart, I think, was what it needed. But apart from that, it's been 100% smooth. In terms of frame rate, really smooth. In terms of more graphical glitches or something glitching out, whatever. Yeah, I've had probably 2 of those in... how long did it take me to do the campaign? Because I've only done campaign, haven't I? You've done more. Yeah, 11 hours. 11 hours, yeah. Two little blips.
I don't think that's bad, to be honest.
No. I mean, there is another thing. I think you might be mentioning this. I don't know if you... Because this happened to me, which was... and this happened to you on stream, and when it happened, this was before you bought it to me, and I was like, I cannot believe that's happened to a single-player game. I think you know what I'm about to say. Disconnected from server. Kicks you out of the campaign. That is the most infuriating thing ever.
Yeah, that was going to be the next thing I mentioned. Certainly, I noticed in the pre-release, like the early access bit, server performance was not great, and there was quite a few moments where it didn't necessarily kick me out, but it did have a moment where I think it reloaded me back to my last checkpoint early on. But I wasn't so worried because once it did that, it just said, "Oh, well, offline mode now," and I could play.
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah, that's what it did to me, but I was playing at the same time. I was doing it solo, but 2 of my friends in the Discord call at the same time were playing co-op campaign, and they got kicked out, and I think they determined there might have been server maintenance or something like that. It was good for me because I could just click offline mode, bang, I'm straight back in again, but they couldn't play, so they just left it. They're like, okay, we'll just leave it, because they both got kicked out and I got kicked out at the exact same time. But when you're playing a campaign, you know, you shouldn't be doing that.
No, I think it's to do with the co-op of that, and I think it's supposed to be a drop-in, drop-out kind of thing. I don't know because I've not tried it yet myself, but that's the way I kind of understand it, and I can kind of see it from that sense. I will say to Focus and Saber's credit that yes, these were issues very early on, and there's still a little bit of that, yes.
Yeah.
But they've done a lot of work since release, general release, sorry. They've done quite a few server maintenance updates and updates to the game as well, obviously, to kind of fix those issues. And it does seem to be a hell of a lot smoother now.
Yeah.
And a lot more stable. Yeah. So to their credit, they obviously picked up on those issues and gone to work on it. I suppose one way to look at it is they didn't have the beta test. So they didn't have a chance to test all these things. They obviously left it until release. So these things are, for them, probably coming up for the first time. Yeah. And to their credit, they obviously jumped on fixing that straight away, pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I say, not perfect, but in that sense, it's a lot better, and they still seem to be working on that. So I'm hopeful that we'll continue to see that improve. Is there any other sort of technical issues you've encountered? I don't think there is on my end.
No, I didn't get any frame drops. It was just those sort of graphical glitches and the disconnect from server that I got. That was it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, overall, I don't think that's too bad. We have got a roadmap talking about some of the DLC that's coming for the game. There's also a couple of other things on top of this that I'm going to discuss, but we'll go through the roadmap first. Did we touch on this last month?
I don't think so. I think this came out after that we'd recorded. I think it might have been the same month, but I think it was too late when it came out, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember there being a roadmap, but they've released an updated roadmap, which finally gives us what's happening in Season 4, which is why I wanted to touch on this again. But either way, we'll run through it very quickly. So, Season 1 is basically from release. They've given us ultra-wide support, or that's coming soon, I think. Private PvE lobbies, which I don't think we have yet, but again, should be coming soon. And a battle barge sparring arena. So I assume this will be an area where we can train either with other players or with AI. I'm not sure. It doesn't really go into detail on that, but something that is coming. I haven't seen it yet, so I assume that'll be coming later on this month, or hopefully by the time this goes out. The season pass also gives us for season 1 an Ultramarines cosmetic pack, which seems to be armor pieces. Interestingly, I didn't realize we was going to get armor pieces, but also it seems to be that they've given us a load of Ultramarine successor chapters. So, Tom, for your benefit and anyone listening at home that's maybe not familiar with the lore, Warhammer starts, well, the first major event in Warhammer is what's known as the Horus Heresy. We've gone over a little bit of this before, but you start with the legions. Following the Horus Heresy, the legions are broken down into chapters. Chapters are 1,000 Marines, roughly, each, and because they obviously still descend from the same Primarch, the rest of the legion becomes what's called successor chapters. They use the same gene seed as their parent legion, I guess is the way to say it. But yeah, so we got a load of Ultramarine successor chapters. That was quite cool. There's a lot there to unlock. And as I say, we seem to be getting armor pieces as well, which I was not expecting, but that's a lot of fun. Season 2 is going to bring us new PvE missions, which I'm excited about. Not sure how that's going to work though, because Tom, I don't know if you've noticed this already, but the PvE missions are tied in with the campaign.
Yeah.
So I wonder how the new PvE missions are going to work. Are they going to be a follow-on from the story? Because obviously they're still there, again, no spoilers, but they're still there cleaning up what remains of the Tyranids. So is it going to be something tying into that, the ongoing story, or is it going to be tying into Titus and what Titus is doing? I don't know. But I'm excited to see what comes from that. That'll be cool. There's also going to be a new enemy introduced, which I'm very excited about. A new enemy type to fight and overcome. I wonder if that's going to be a boss or if that's going to be something we encounter within the PvE missions. Don't know yet, but again, exciting. Very excited to see that. They're going to introduce a lethal difficulty, which is going to be even more difficult than the campaign modes already. I think that's supposed to be coming to the PvE missions as well.
I could hardly survive on normal.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've heard a lot of people online saying that they are trying the hardest difficulty and struggling. So lethal is going to be just insane. But it's 40k. What do we expect? They turn the dial up to 11,000. And
40,000. Yeah. You've done it again. You need
that.
Oh, no, honestly.
It just seems like a cheap trick, Tom. What else are we getting? So we're also getting, interestingly, a new weapon, the Neo Volkite pistol. I have absolutely no idea how the Neo Volkite pistol is going to work. I don't understand how it works in the tabletop. It's a weapon that they've recently introduced to 40k. It's a weapon that existed in the Horus Heresy tabletop game, which is kind of the same, but a slightly different rule set. But yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to work. Not sure what class that's going to be given to, but I'm excited to see more weapons being added. So that's very cool. The season pass for season 2 will bring us the Dark Angels cosmetic pack, which will give us a champion, a cosmetic pack, and a weapon skin pack. We already have that for the Ultramarines, so it'll be interesting to see what we get for the Dark Angels. Season 3 will bring us a new PvE mission. This will be sometime in 2025. A new PvP game mode, new PvP arenas, another new enemy, PvE prestige ranks, which I'm not sure how I feel about, but okay, and a battle barge expansion. Now that one interests me because I would like to know what a battle barge expansion is going to bring. Because to be honest, the battle barge really is just used to move from, well, campaign briefings to the armory to jumping on your Thunderhawk to go to your mission. And obviously the Thunderhawk is used to get into the PvE missions as well. I haven't done PvP yet, but I assume it's the same there. I don't know what a Battle Barge expansion is going to bring, but I'm excited to see what we get out of that. It's new content. I'm always going to be here for that. Yeah, no, that would be really cool to see what they bring along with that, and I'm excited to see what that adds to the game, and I'm hoping we get a little bit more information on that going forwards. Again, going back to the season pass for season 3, one chapter is going to receive a champion pack, cosmetic pack, and weapon skin pack, whilst another chapter will receive the champion pack for their chapter. Season 4 will bring us a horde mode, which I'm very excited about. That was something they added late into Space Marine 1, and it became very popular.
What is that? Is that something that would be similarly compared to, but not really, of COD Zombies? Or
yeah.
Oh, is it basically rounds of whatever enemies,
basically,
Tyranids, whatever?
How long can you survive against overwhelming odds, basically?
Right, okay.
They did it in Space Marine 1, so it was you had orcs up to a certain round. I can't remember which round it was, and then you got chaos. So you got, I think it was Bloodletters and Black Legion Chaos Space Marines. I don't know how it's going to work in this. We don't really have any news yet. They've obviously only just revealed that there's going to be this horde mode, but I would imagine it's going to be Tyranids and eventually Thousand Suns. That's not a spoiler. They added it into the latest trailer. We all know that's coming. But yeah, I would imagine it's going to be something with that. Maybe there'll be different modes. Maybe there'll be one against Tyranids, one against Chaos. Maybe they'll do a similar thing to Space Marine 1. I don't really know. But again, we know that's coming. Again, they've announced a new enemy coming with Season 4. So we're going to have more content to fight against, as well as a new weapon. Now, they haven't named what weapon is coming. We know we're getting another new weapon. I'm trying to think about what that could be. Trying to think about what's missing that is currently on the tabletop. I'm really struggling to find something that we don't have.
See, I think my friend would really appreciate if they added the heavy flamer. That was the weapon that I couldn't remember what one of my friends said was missing from last month. That I also mentioned to you on stream because you asked me. Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned that, actually, because I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. The Pyre Blaster, which you can get in the campaign, and you also use for certain bits to deal with the Ripper Swarms, that isn't available in PvE.
Oh, not really?
You can't select it in the armory for any class. And I don't know about PvP, but I think PvP is the same. You can't get the Flamer in any of the multiplayer modes. You can only use it in the campaign. So I wonder if maybe the Pyre Blaster might be coming.
Or do they think it's too OP for PvE, PvP?
I mean, possibly. That could be why they've not added it. I mean, it's not in the armoring campaign, so it could well be that it just does not balance right against other players or in the PvE mode. I don't know. I've not seen any explanation for why that's not available outside of those set moments in the campaign. But I do wonder if they'll add a flame weapon at some point. There is a flamer pistol that they could perhaps add. But I feel like, they've already added the Volkite pistol. So would it make sense to add another pistol in 2025, or would something else make more sense? A primary weapon, or maybe a melee weapon as well? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're planning. I don't know what's coming.
Akimbo Thunderhammers. No?
That would be insane. Speaking of, we'll go to the season pass in a second, but Tom, what do you think of the Thunderhammer?
When I first used it, oh my god, is that thing amazing!
Right? Honestly, I picked that up and I went, I need no other weapon.
So, during the campaign, it's not really a spoiler, it's more of a gameplay mechanic sort of thing. There were two aspects where I thought this combination of weapons is amazing. First of all, the jump pack with the chainsword, you going up into the air and then holding melee down to then launch yourself on a particular bit and go boof everywhere was incredible. I was like, oh my god, I love this jump pack. I'm just a bunny rabbit, just up in the air, smack down, up in the air,
bounce, slam,
smack
bounce,
down.
Slam. yeah, definitely.
You get the Thunderhammer. You get the Thunderhammer so far in the campaign though.
Yeah,
It's so far in. But I sort of understand because
powerful weapon.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very powerful. But yeah, that was the second sort of wow thing was when you get the Thunder Hammer. The thing is, you don't realize you're getting the Thunder Hammer until you have the Thunder Hammer.
Right.
And I was like, oh my god, wait a minute, that's the Thunder Hammer.
This is the thing. So I kept looking in the armor and I'm like, when do I get the Thunder Hammer? When do I get the Thunder Hammer?
Here's the thing. I was actually doing the same. Because I every single time I was like, oh, it's locked still. I still want to...
This is the thing. So I went to the armory just before that mission, and it obviously says unavailable on your melee weapon. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm getting the Thunder Hammer. And someone in my chat went, yeah, it's happening. I went, Thunder Hammer, run. And to get on the Hawk, I was like, I need to use this. Oh, it feels so good. But yeah, like I say, going back to the updates, the free updates for Season 4, I do wonder what the new weapon is going to be. I can't think of something that we're missing. So is it going to be a new weapon? I mean, they used the first trailer for Space Marine 2 to announce that we were finally getting jump pack Marines. We didn't have that on the tabletop at the time. So that was kind of a spoiler that they gave us. Could it be a new weapon that's coming to the tabletop? Could it be maybe that they're bringing in the Flamer? I have absolutely no idea, but I'm excited to see what comes, and I'm excited to get more information on that as time goes by. Going back to the season pass, again, it's going to be the same. So another chapter will receive a champion pack, cosmetic pack, and weapon skin pack, and another chapter will receive their champion pack on top of that. We've only got these 4 seasons for now. This is just their year 1 battle plan. We may get something else beyond that. I hope that we do. But again, time will tell what comes. I do want to add on to this though, because I made notes when we were doing our planning, Tom, that we might perhaps get a new class beyond season 4. There is some chatter on the box thematic. That
I get that reference now.
I do not understand.
I do. I understood that reference.
Focus and Saber, there's some chatter out there that they might be adding an apothecary. And I did point out that it was very strange that an apothecary was missing. So the apothecary is the medic class, basically. They have what's called a narthecium, which they use to either inject you with drugs to stop the pain and stop you bleeding, or they drill a hole in you to take the gene seed so they can give it to another brother.
Lovely.
Yeah. You probably heard the apothecary referred to in the campaign, actually, because you do find a brother at one point, and he's like, I'll call the apothecary.
Oh.
So that's who they're calling it. It's a battlefield medic, basically. But yeah, I think that'd be quite interesting. Maybe the narthecium could be a weapon that we get. But, you know, again, that would be unique to an apothecary class. But I'd be excited to see that. Been chatting with some friends about it as well. Someone speculated they might add a librarian down the line, which I'd be really excited to see, because psychic powers, along with, you know, shooting and whacking things, that would be very cool. These are the 2 that seem to be missing. I'd like to see them. But yeah, I don't know. Time will tell what we get. I'm going to keep listening to what Focus and Saber are saying to try and pick up more information. I do have a downside, though, in terms of the customization side, and that's for Chaos Space Marines. So Chaos is only available in multiplayer, but the problem I have is whilst we have all this customization, all these options to create custom armor sets and everything for all your classes, that's not possible for Chaos. You can only choose the color of your armor, and I think you can change the heraldry, but you're stuck with whatever armor it's chosen. So for the assault class, for example, you have, it basically chooses a Night Lord's character for you. Now you can choose whatever colors you want, but it remains a Night Lord's Raptor. I think the Bulwark is a World Eater. Again, you can choose whatever you want, but the armor set is still that of a World Eater. I don't know. It feels like a little bit of a cop-out to me. I feel like, yes, you only get to play Chaos in one game mode, but the thing is, you still get to play them. If you're going to add customization for the Space Marines, you should do the same for the Chaos Space Marines. Or I feel that's the case anyway, because if you're playing multiplayer, if you're playing PvP, you're going to be playing them 50% of the time. I don't know. I feel like there should be more customization. You should be able to, you know, create your Chaos Space Marine, create your custom warband, whatever it is that you want to do. And I just feel like we're not really getting that at the moment. And I think that's a little bit disappointing, because we've got a lot more. I don't think we've got so much in the way of customization. We've got a lot more options in Space Marine 1. So yeah, it does feel like that's something we've lost a little bit, but again, you know, it seems like they're dedicated to bringing us more content. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm not so quietly hopeful that we will get more customization there down the line.
Anyway, shall we stop talking about Warhammer?
Oh.
No, I know, it's a bit sad, but we're gonna talk about something sad, because Grand Tour final ever with Clarkson, Hammond, and May. One for the road that came out on the 13th of September and is 2 hours long for those people that don't know. How did you find it? I was upset. I was very upset by hour 2.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it all in one sitting. I had things going on through the weekend, so I kind of watched it.
Neither did I actually. I watched an hour, and then then it was my stream time, so I went to stream, and then the next day I then watched the second bit. So, yeah.
But yeah, I felt very sad. It was very funny, and I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, it was very good.
But I felt very sad watching it, just knowing that this is it. I kept hoping that, you know, at the end they would go, "Oh, go on, do one more," you know, or something. But
yeah. And what Richard Hammond said in an interview quite recently before it aired was, it will actually continue without the big 3, a bit like Top Gear.
Really?
So yeah, because Amazon own the IP for Grand Tour,
right?
So they're gonna get 3 new people in, I think, or new people.
Oh no! Don't do that.
See, it's a huge downside, and no matter who, or even if it does well, they're gonna get criticized because of who they are, who their predecessors are.
The problem I have, sorry, I just want to focus on that point for a second. Like Top Gear, they tried to bring in a new crew.
And Top Gear fell on its face. Yeah.
With this thing, even if we ignore Chris Evans and his one series where he pranced around like a prat, if we ignore that and we jump straight to the Paddy, Freddie, and I forget the other guy's name. Anyways, those 3 that took over, obviously it was better once they came in after Chris, but it never achieved what happened with Clarkson, Hammond, and May.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to be the same with this. They're going to try and bring 3 new people in, try and revive it, and it's never going to hit the same. And the thing is as well, and I think the thing that really kind of struck me about this, watching this special, is what Top Gear did is they went from 3 motoring journalists who were quite funny together, to getting a couple of personalities on there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the latest cast of Top Gear, Freddie, Chris, Freddie, Paddy, and whoever the other guy is, I forget his name. The other guy is the journalist. He's a motoring journalist. Freddie and Paddy are just 2 personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're funny together, and they make good telly. Well, actually, that's debatable. Some people don't like it, but you know, I think they're funny together, and I think they make good telly, and they get on great. But the thing is, they're not motoring journalists.
Yeah.
So they're not going to make a car show like 3 motoring journalists who are quite funny together.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the problem: is are they going to find another 3 motoring journalists that have that kind of chemistry?
See, it's funny how you say that, because I was thinking about this before. I think I was thinking about this yesterday. I thought the only way this is going to work is if, one, they have 3 friends, but 3 friends that are petrol heads. They don't have to be full-on petrol heads, but they have to have passion for the automotive industry, and they, you know, they've got to know sort of what they're doing, and they can drive well and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Rich Hammond doesn't drive well, but he's still on there. You know what I mean. I had to make the joke. It was there. It was right there. It was right there. And it would have to be 3 nobodies. No Hollywood stars. it's proven it's not proven with, as you said, the personalities doesn't work. It has to be 3 completely nobodies because, as you said, they came from being motor journalists, and I mean, even Richard Hammond was a radio DJ at BBC Radio Lancashire as well.
Well, that's the thing. So Jeremy Clarkson came from doing a motoring column. He did journalism first, and then got a motoring column in a paper. I can't remember where.
Yeah.
And then he joined the old Top Gear cast before they revamped it, and he brought Hammond on.
Yeah.
Old Top Gear.
Yeah.
He joined them under that and did motoring journalism, and then they shut that down and gave it to Clarkson and went, well, look, do you want to revamp it? Do you want to do your own thing? And he went, yeah, I've got this.
Yeah.
As you say, Hammond was a radio DJ, and then he went into motoring journalism. I think it was radio based. I think. And then James May turned up a series late. But he was doing Autocar magazine.
Yeah, I was going to say he was doing a magazine, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Autocar, one of the biggest motoring magazines, well, certainly in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, they are, I think, considered the standard for motoring journalism. He was working there before he went to Top Gear.
Yeah.
You know, they are proper, tried and tested journalists. It just so happens that they were funny and a little bit silly. And that's why it worked. At least I think that's why it worked.
And I think really that format, the way that they did things, only works for them, though. That's the thing. You cannot repeat the way that they did those. And that's why I say, you know, have 3 people that are nobodies, that are friends and, you know, are into cars and the automotive industry, but make it their own thing. And maybe it would work. It's not going to be as popular, but then maybe people won't ultimately hate them. But people will because of their predecessors, just because of who the predecessors were. But it's not their own fault. They might be really good, but they're going to get...
because they're stepping into an established name.
Yeah, they're going to get judged, and ultimately, when Amazon do this, the Grand Tour name is going to get tainted forever with whoever they decide to introduce.
Yeah.
And I would even argue doing some car YouTubers would even work. Like, I know she's American, but Amelia Hartford is a good one. Probably not heard of her, I'm guessing.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, she's very good. She knows the insides and outs. She restored a, what was it? Was it a Cobra? Something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
She does the podcast with who played Han in Fast and Furious. What's he called?
Oh.
But yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but I know who you mean.
He does his podcast with Amelia Hartford. Yeah, and she even appeared in the Gran Turismo film actually quite recently. But yeah,
right.
She is probably one of the car YouTubers that I would trust to take over a show like that, because she is knowledgeable with maybe 2 other people that maybe people could sort of think of. But I think the way that the Grand Tour ended, it was sad, but it was a satisfying ending, because we're in a day and age now where so much gets cancelled and so much goes too far to the point where it's then terrible writing, or the show was just it went from a really big high to something a really big low, and then it gets cancelled or canned because of that reason. This way, we know it ended on a high, and it can't get any. It didn't get worse, and it was on their own terms this time.
Yeah.
Also, they are getting old. They are getting older. They're probably getting a bit more tired, and you know, and who knows how many crashes Richard Hammond has left. You know. But they did. with one line, they did cover, I think it was Clarkson that covered, it's not really a spoiler for those people that haven't watched it, but he phrased it in the way that they don't want to do it anymore because of the rise of electric vehicles. It's no fun to them without a proper engine sound to hear. You know?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with them on that. I'm not a massive fan of electric vehicles. And it's kind of that sense, you know, I come from a family of petrol heads, and you know, that feeling, as well as the noise, that actual feeling of the internal combustion engine, that's where the joy is.
Yeah,
I think for a lot of petrol heads, and I imagine that's what it is for them. You know, that joy, that feeling, the feeling that vehicle is alive. You know, and you actually can control it. That's where they get enjoyed, and I can understand that, definitely.
Yeah, it reminds me of that TikTok, that YouTube short of Jeremy. I think he was in London, where he was just outside a pub or something, and then I don't know if you've seen it. You probably have, of him saying, "Oh, shush, 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 shush." Is that? Listen to that. Is that a V8 or whatever he says?
Yeah, he can pick out the engine from the
and
noise.
He was like, "Listen to that. That's great."
That noise. That was a Maserati Quattroporte. I suspect the GTS model. Such a cool noise.
And there's, there's another shot with an old Jeremy Clarkson voiceover that was basically say, I can't remember the entire thing, but it started something like, "We're a dying breed, you and I."
We are an endangered species, you and I. We, lovers of speed. We, devotees of power, performance, and noise. Go away, we are told, and take your carbon fibre and your fire-spitting V12s with you. There's hardly a place for us out here anymore. Not amongst all the commuters and congestion.
Talking about the fact that normal people think it's just an A and B and bits of metal put together, but to us it's something a lot more. It's art. It's an achievement. It's something more to people that like cars.
Yeah.
And not to mention, think about the impact those three have had over the years to so many people, including us. Like, I think the reason I don't like electric cars is actually because of them, almost. Well, I have a few exceptions, of course, because as a graphic designer, I love the design of cars more than anything. I can't officially call myself a petrol head because I don't know the ins and outs of the cars and all that kind of stuff. In that sense, because I know the car community does tend to like to gatekeep that sort of thing. But the thing that makes me into cars is the motorsport. It's the look of the cars. It's the sound of them. And they're just so satisfying. Yes, I can't probably pick out an engine sound or know exactly what car has that particular engine, but I know a car that looks incredibly good or sounds particularly good. And all that kind of thing.
Yeah, you can still appreciate it.
Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily call myself a car guy, or society wouldn't class myself as a car guy or a petrol head, but I'm definitely a fanatic or an admirer of a car.
Petrol head adjacent. Just like alongside it.
Yeah. I mean, think about. I mean, even when it comes to our own content creation, your video series coming soon, hopefully.
Coming soon
in quotation marks. It's sort of inspired by obviously the Star originally priced car.
Absolutely.
When I did my set of course series of the track day challenge, where it's a track day, so you've got loads of cars going around, but it's me doing a leaderboard. It was originally inspired by that as well, but I'd made it my own sort of thing, where I just took the leaderboard aspect of it, you know. And not only that, my live streams over anything else, I think, are heavily inspired. Think of all the sound effects I have that are all three inspired. Not to mention my stream titles. Don't know if you remember, the very first Grand Tour title, at the end, the tagline was "What possibly could go wrong?" What do I have at the end of my stream titles? Every single stream, without fail, that I've had there.
I hadn't picked up on that, but that's a very good point.
That is actually the reference to the Grand Tour, because it's actually very relevant to the way that my streams go, because usually something goes wrong, or I have a technical issue almost every single stream, or I just fail at playing a game properly. You know, it's relevant, but it's also actually part of that original thing, because there are some things that they say that are so good, I'm like, I kind of want to use that. I kind of want to keep that in my life. And for a while, when Grand Tour was part of the what's it called, when they were doing the tour with the tent, you know, when I was in a voice chat, when I was always ending, I would always say, and on that terrible disappointment, it's time for me to leave. It's now time to end. You know, because I love that phrase so much. You know, on my live streams, going back to those sound effects, you know, I've got, you know, some of these are my favorites, you know. Speed and power.
It's the solution to everything. Speed and power.
You know, which was originally going to be just for when I play racing games, but as you know, the chat loves doing it when we do Tuesday Night Trucking, and it's me basically putting my foot down for a set period or set distance that I think. But it also plays the sound effect of speed and power on my stream. And then we've got my genius is almost frightening.
Sometimes my genius is... it's almost frightening.
We've got somebody shouting, I think, Clarkson or Hammond. I think it's someone shouting, Hammond!
Hammond!
And then, obviously, my favourite, Jag. Yeah, so, you know, the inspiration, I think, for particularly me and the way that I do things is so, although some of my visual elements are very Star Wars heavy, because, you know, big Star Wars fan and all that on my stream, there are certain indicators and stuff and sort of design elements that are very Star Wars inspired. There's also a lot of Clarkson, Hammond and May in there.
No, I do think it's interesting that you bring up the impact they've had, certainly on you, but for others as well. Just thinking, you know, a lot of people, certainly of our generation, will have grown up watching these guys. If you have any interest in cars, your source of information more than likely has been Jeremy Clarkson, Rich Hammond, and James May.
Yeah.
You know, it depending on how interested you are, obviously, some people will go more into it, and that's the people that will go and pick up things like Also Car Magazine. Yeah. But a lot of people will have found their interest and found their passion by watching these three.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that I find probably most upsetting is who's going to inspire that passion in people now if there isn't already a passion
and
within
the people
their family.
growing up.
Yeah.
Because
that's what
people.
I mean. If your family doesn't already have a passion in cars, you know, you haven't got aunts, uncles, cousins, whoever that work on cars or, you know, go to car shows every weekend or whatever it is, where does that passion come from?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like losing these three, and I get, you know, they are older. I mean, Jeremy Clarkson, James May are in their 60s, Richard's in his 50s, I think. You know, yes, they are getting old and they've got to stop at some point, absolutely. But who is going to inspire that passion in young people now?
Yeah.
Who is going to get people interested in not just cars, but, you know, vehicles of all types? You know, whether it's cars or bikes or, I don't know, if you're interested in trucks and buses and whatever it is, you know, I feel like a lot of people bring those origins back to these three, and where's that going to come from? It's really important that we get a group to replace them. It kind of goes back to what you were saying about, you know, someone replacing them on the Grand Tour and the Grand Tour continuing. I think that selection is going to be very important again for this impact point. You know, who's going to take the torch effectively? Who's going to keep that going?
Yeah, and going back to almost as inspiration and me again, you know, when Grand Tour started, I had the idea of, you know, going into one of the Forza Horizon games with a group of friends and doing those sort of classic challenges, you know, because you could do it in a Forza Horizon game. You could say, okay, you have either you have this amount of money or you have this, buy a car, any car, meet up a point, and we'll do a challenge in the game that's in the game. So it might be a speed trap, or let's just travel from A to B, or, you know, whatever. And I thought that would be pretty cool. I've still yet to do that, because I would still love to do that. But yeah, that's another sort of aspect that, you know, I suppose people might do in their own time, you know. Yes, it could be a YouTube series or something on stream, but you could also do that in your own time. And, you know, I think that just reenactment of those three, of the way that they did things, of buying a car, going to a location to meet up to see what everyone else has bought, and then going on a challenge to see, you know, which is the best for that element. You know, first of all, great idea, but you know, maybe one day it'll get done in a game. Yeah, sad, but you know, satisfying ending. No matter what.
It is.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm still sad. I don't think I'm quite over it yet.
Yeah. Shall we talk about Star Wars now?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things I want to talk about in Star Wars related news. I'm going to try and go over these fairly quickly. We'll try and cover this as best we can. First thing I want to talk about is Peter Cushing, who some of you may know as Grand Moff Tarkin from the Star Wars films.
Yeah.
Star Wars Episode 4, and then has obviously been recreated for Rogue One. Rogue One, or using his likeness in Rogue One, sparked a court case. This started back in 2019. Very recently, a judge has said that deliberation has gone on for long enough. It now needs to be taken to court. It's been taken to the High Court in the UK. Basically, Tyburn Film Productions, the claimant, is suing 5 defendants over the digital resurrection of Peter Cushing within Rogue One. The reason that they have is that in 1993, they signed an agreement whilst producing a TV movie with Peter Cushing that basically said that they held exclusive rights for any digital recreations of him. Someone's very kindly made a note here that the TV movie was a heritage of horror and it was never completed. But obviously the agreement was signed that they couldn't reproduce him in CGI or any other technology without Tyburn's permission. The problem is the defendants. We'll go through the defendants and obviously the claims first. So the first and second defendants are Joyce and Bernard Broughton. These are the executors of Peter Cushing's estate. They obviously are allegedly in breach of the 93 agreement by reproducing the digital likeness. The third defendant is the Associated International Management LLP, which was Peter Cushing's agent, accused of inducing the breach contract. I assume they have set up the contract with Lucasfilm. The fourth and fifth are Lunac Heavy Industries. I'm not familiar with them. And Lucasfilm Limited, obviously, allegedly profiting from rights that they didn't own, specifically Peter Cushing's image rights. The sixth defendant was Walt Disney Company, but they have since been removed from the case. The technological rights are obviously the agreement of covering all forms of reproduction, including CGI and AI technology, which is obviously what they've used in Rogue One to recreate his likeness.
Obviously, AI is a lot more recent. I say recent, but I actually researched this. AI was actually invented in the 1950s. Originally, because it was originally. I don't know if you've seen the Imitation Game.
I haven't, but I've heard of it.
With Benedict Cumberbatch. It's actually it's not very faithful to the true story, but the man he plays is actually the guy that mentions the AI technology all the way back then.
Okay.
Because that's what the first test for AI was. It was called the Imitation Game.
Okay.
And that's kind of where the sort of the film sort of comes from, or from what I can see from my research. But yeah, it is old technology, but it's more.
I feel like it's probably a term that's constantly evolving.
It's it's not really been touched upon years and years ago, but it was, in terms of reproducing it or producing it, but it developed over time, and obviously it's a lot more present now in the last few years than anywhere in time. But yeah, it's the technological rights was basically saying that any technology being produced, any new technology that would be capable of reproducing any likeliness, which would include that AI technology.
Yeah. So that's the technological rights that they are obviously claiming have been breached. The defense by Lucasfilm is that they had a prior agreement from 1976, which is obviously when they filmed A New Hope, or Star Wars at the time, which gave them global rights to use his likeness for any purpose, including CGI reproduction. Clause number 12 of the 76 agreement granted Star Wars Productions Limited full rights to use Cushing's physical likeness for any form of media or promotional use. Now, obviously, that was 76, and Tyburns was 93. So this, they've got almost 30 years on it. I don't know about you, Tom, but to me it seems like a weak argument.
Yeah. I don't know, and I would almost argue, because it's his likeness, why haven't they done this for animation? He appears in Bad Batch. Because if it's likeness...
Yeah, he also appeared in Rebels.
Yeah, and Rebels. So why is Rogue One just been targeted here and not the animation? Because the likeness reproduction, CGI, all that kind of stuff, surely animation counts in that. But also, on the flip side, I'm not trying to be a fool, because obviously all Star Wars fans don't want this to go through. Because what will happen? Will he cut him from Rogue One? No one wants that,
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
Yeah, but I just don't think, because the agreement was prior to this new agreement. Does it overrule one or the other? Obviously, we don't know. That's more for a judge to decide. But
yeah, I suppose the argument here is, if they've already signed that agreement with Lucasfilm or with Star Wars Productions, did they have the right to then sign that away in totality to another company? And I think the argument there will be, well, no, they didn't. They'd already signed that over to Star Wars Productions.
Yeah.
I do remember seeing it at the time, and I can't find it, so unfortunately I can't link it. But I do remember seeing when it was announced that the judge had told them they have to take it to court now, he made a comment they had a very weak case. Tyburn did, sorry.
Yeah.
Tyburn had a very weak case, but the deliberation had gone on long enough and they had to take it to court. So it sounds like the judge is already kind of erring on the side of Disney in this case. But obviously he said it's up to them to now argue and make the case in court and bring evidence to show why, who should have these rights. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm very hopeful that Lucasfilm, Disney are successful in this, because, what does it mean? Does it mean they have to cut those scenes? Do they have to then refilm them with another actor?
Yeah.
Does that mean we're going to have someone else that takes on form of
the reproduction in Rogue One, I've actually seen images of the pre-production. And it's another actor just playing his part, and then they've afterwards done some CGI to alter.
Yeah, they painted his face on top.
Yeah. So, they might be forced to say, get that original footage back and do that, but we don't want to see that, because his character is so iconic to the way that he looks and the way that he sounds. That's the character. But yeah, you know, I'm not sure about this entire court case. Like, I'm just a little bit in the middle where I'm like, is there any real point? I don't really have too much of an opinion on it, basically. You know, like, I don't think it's going to stand, but...
No, I don't think it will either. I think they've got a very weak case.
If anything,
it's
one of his iconic roles anyway. And it's like, just let him live on. Despite the agreements, just let him live on.
Well, the other thing as well, though, and I think what is going to kind of draw from Tyburn's argument anyway, is that the executives have also given their blessing for it.
Yeah.
They are responsible for his estate. And yeah, they don't have any reference over his likeness, but if they're giving support to it, if there's a pre-existing agreement already there, you know, I do think it removes some of the weight from Tyburn.
Yeah.
And yeah, although not a point of law, just sort of my own view on it, if Heritage of Horror never came out, should their agreement really have any weight? They didn't complete the project.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something they can argue. I don't know if that's... I suppose it depends on the wording of the agreement.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it just makes me think, like, if that never came out, if they never completed the project, then is that legally enforceable, or is it null and void, or how does that work? Does it even have any bearing at this point? You know, because all right, they've got his rights, but then what are they going to do with those rights, because they never completed the project where they used his likeness in the first place? I don't know. It's one of those things where I think I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this one, because I'm interested to see how this turns out.
Yeah.
And I'll be interested if they release like the minutes from the court proceeding. I'd be interested to read through that.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to my second bit of Star Wars news, and probably our last thing for this evening. We've got some very sad news.
More sad news, I know.
Yeah, we need to talk about. Unfortunately, James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader, has passed away. Tom, do we have the date? I didn't make a note of what date that was. It was
a day you were streaming. I know that much.
Yeah,
you were streaming Space Marine 2 at the time.
It was either Monday or 9th of September. On the 9th of September, he passed away at his apartment in New York. James Earl Jones was a massive figure within Star Wars, not just in the films, but within sort of the community of people that have appeared and worked on those films. I don't think anyone had a bad word to say about him. He seems to be loved by everyone that has worked with him, and it seems like he was as much a fan as any of us. You know, he loved it. He worked on it, he loved it, and he was excited about it just like everyone else was. And
I feel that he played himself almost in the Big Bang Theory episode he features in. Yeah, no,
absolutely. This is what this is what I've heard. Again, we don't know, because we don't know him in reality. But what I hear is that that excitement that he showed on the Big Bang Theory, him being a big fan, is actually how he is. He's a massive fan of the IP. He loves it all, and you know, he gets excited about it, like I say, like a big Star Wars fan, like the rest of us do.
Yeah, because if you don't know, I haven't watched it. Basically, Sheldon goes up, recognizes him. He's like, "I've got one thing to say to you. I like Star Wars too." And it sounds like he's going to be really negative and be like, "Oh, not another person." But he goes the complete opposite way.
He loves it.
Yeah,
he loves it. Yeah.
And as you know, as probably one of my favorite sitcoms to watch, you know, that's so great to see. You know, because also it has the inclusion of Carrie Fisher in as well. Yeah, because he goes to ring a doorbell as a prank.
I love it. He just seems like a really lovely guy, and I mean, he's worked on a lot of other things as well. Unfortunately, I'm not very familiar with other bits of his work, but I know he's worked on a number of different projects, both acting and in voiceover. And yeah, it just seems like everyone who works with him just can only sing his praises. Everyone seems to love him from working with him.
And I know he said before, he can't take credit for Darth Vader, but he was definitely, he was literally
he's a massive part of it.
He was definitely a third of it, because obviously he was the voice. Yeah. There was David Prowse with the body, and then there was somebody else that did the stunts. So yeah,
1/3 to probably the most iconic movie villain of all time.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, it's probably the most memorable line in any film ever made.
Yeah, in cinema history.
The "I am your father" kind of thing. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. One bit of good news before I go on to some of the things that have been said. One bit of good news is that he did sign an agreement with Lucasfilm that they could continue to reproduce his voice via AI means to continue to use him in future projects. So we will continue to have the voice of Lord Vader.
I thought that was the case. I thought I read about that. This was a while ago, a real while ago. Yeah,
it's quite a few years ago now, I think.
Yeah.
But
I think almost that was him prepping to think, I'm getting older now, maybe,
To be fair, I think they've already made use of that clause or that agreement, because I think it was Obi-Wan Kenobi. He didn't voice that. Yeah, he'd already retired by that point, but they obviously recreated his voice for that series.
And did Darth Vader speak in Bad Batch? No, Tales of the Empire.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, it might have been for that as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I didn't think about that, but that's a very good point.
I love how my mind went Bad Batch, but it's because it's the same animation style. Yeah.
No, that's a very good point. That may well have been an AI reproduction as well. But yeah, he signed this agreement. He wants us to continue, with the character that we love. And he doesn't want us to have to change that. So, massive props to him for doing that. I know there's a lot of hoo-ha in the sort of the acting and filmmaking world at the moment about AI and whether people should agree to it or not, or how the industry approaches using AI. I know there's a lot of argument over that, but he's obviously done this for the fans, and it's a massive amount of respect to him for that. I could sit here gushing about James Earl Jones all day. I'm going to talk about some of the things that have been said, obviously in the wake of him passing away. The first was, James Earl Jones is one of the most versatile and talented actors of our time, with an iconic body of work across film, stage, and television. The menacing baritone he brought to Darth Vader will forever be beloved by fans and regarded as one of the great villainous performances in cinema. His commanding presence on screen and warm personality off screen will be greatly missed. That was from Kathleen Kennedy, the CEO of Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I forgot if it was CEO or something else, but yeah. Following that, we also had James was an incredible actor, a most unique voice both in art and spirit. For nearly half a century, he was Darth Vader, but the secret to it all is he was a beautiful human being. He gave depth, sincerity, and meaning to all his roles, amongst the most important being devoted husband to the late Cece and dad to Flynn. James will be missed by so many of us, friends and fans alike, and that was from George Lucas. And I think that beautifully sums up how a lot of us are feeling.
I don't need to say anything else now.
I don't think anything else could be said.
Yeah. And on that terrible disappointment, it's time for us to end. Thank you very much for listening if you're on Spotify, or watching if you're on YouTube. You can give us a follow, give us a rating, and review on our podcasting platform of your choice. We'll be next have a podcast on the 30th of October 2024. Just before Spooky Day, on Spooky Month. You can stay up to date with the podcast by following our socials. For Fandom's Edge, you can be found on Instagram and YouTube. You can just search Fandom Podcast, even in Google, and it pops up because the SEO is so good. We both personally can be found on Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Links are all in the description. I'm under Maverick RNG, Joe's under FamilarForce, and we'll see you in the next one.
On the Fandom's Edge.